this morning. It's invited again.
Hey buddy, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear. Great. I'm doing great. What about yourself?
I'm doing not too bad, man. Had a busy day, so I think I'm gonna end my day with this Twitter space. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you. And I want to thank you again for inviting me. I really was looking forward to this. So
Beautiful, man. You must be sitting somewhere east, if it's late at night for you right now. Are you in China or some
yeah, I'm in
Japan
China right
even?
now. So
Mm,
I understand this time zone's kind of a little bit difficult for the worldwide audience. It's like 3 p.m. My time in Guangzhou here. Normally, I'm based out of
right.
Vancouver, so it's definitely huge difference from where I normally stay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, our audience is generally US, Canadian, or European. So this might be a bit early for them, but this is recorded, so no need to sweat it. We make sure to upload it on our podcast and everything so people can re-listen.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess we let's just dive right in because we got a lot of ground to cover, I think, and it's super cool the tool that you guys have built. We tried it out also, and that's why we wanted to reach out and learn more because there's just so much happening in crypto right now. There's all these different metrics, all these different things you can track, and it's getting harder and harder for more people, I think. So I felt like it was a good time to bring up some analytics tools like Footprint, where trying to make it life easier to catch up with everything that's going on. Obviously, being a crypto account ourselves at Coin Club, we try to, extract all the alpha and all the knowledge coming in every single day. Today, I don't know how much knowledge there is. I feel like our entire feed is filled with BitBoy. But other than that, it's a tough job to keep up with crypto these days,
Yeah,
which is
I
why something like
100%
Footprint.
agree, man. That's all my feed has been. Even with all the people I follow, it's just been BitBoy this, BitBoy that. And after this controversy, I think I gotta get rid of that picture I took with him back at the Futurist conference in Toronto.
It's crazy, man. I don't know how this guy became the biggest crypto influencer out there, but I guess he's entertaining for many people. That's something that attracts a lot of attention. But anyways, before we dive into what Footprint, what you guys are building over there, maybe you can give a little bit of a personal background. People in crypto, they come from all walks of life. So what's your story? How did you end up building and working on Footprint?
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess I'll start off by giving a little intro to myself. My name's Alex. I'm the head of community and BD over here at Footprint Analytics. And how did I get started at Footprint? It's actually, um, you know, kind of a little bit of a funny story and a little bit of luck as well. So, um, before I kind of got really into the crypto scene, I was just kind of day trading. I got really addicted to looking at charts on Index and um, and Newton because two decent exchanges to work with in Canada as well as Kraken. And went on a big trip. I was in Costa Rica and went to Mexico, and I was hanging out at my buddy's house in Mexico, and he's like living in right on the beach, paying like 800 US a month in rent in a two-bedroom gated community. And I was like, man, how are you doing this? He's like, I'm working online. So I came back to Canada, and I was like, I want to work online. Pairing this with me, that meme where there's all those numbers flow in, and all those equations, and there's that lady thinking. Like that was me when I was looking at the
Mm.
charts. So I was already a little bit into crypto, but I was a complete noob. I was completely new at it, just losing money, still having a great time. and and then I had the opportunity to kind of start a Footprint as the social media guy. I was like, okay, sweet, like let's get it done. I passed the interviews, and then I really kind of started diving into the social media side of things. things. But what was really unique about working at Footprint was just how completely immersed it got me into the whole crypto scene, right? Looking at all these charts, looking at all these dashboards, making charts, making dashboards, really kind of gave me this deep dive into not just Web3 in general, but also the metrics behind Web3 and what's important, and even going as far as to studying tokenomics and all this sort of stuff. So that's kind of how I started over at Footprint. And honestly, it's been amazing, right? As for my evolution from, being uh, just a very simple trader to, like 2 weeks ago at Token 2049, I was a judge for the ABGA Clayton Web3 Gaming Hackathon, which was just an amazing experience in itself. So I really got to give my ups to Footprint for, giving me this chance and then let me evolve with the scene. I was there for a bit for the first half or the last half of the bull run, all the way to where I am now. So it's been a journey to say the least.
I can imagine. And the TA trading is stressful, man. I had my own episode and experience with that. Tried my luck drawing charts and all that, but man, was it stressful. I felt like it was not for me. Maybe I was too leveraged also, but in any case, that just wasn't for me and my temperament. So I had to. It's almost like getting addicted to gaming. I just had to put it off, man. I was looking at charts all day, so not a healthy lifestyle for me, that, at least. But I admire people who are able to do it, and I would love for myself to have the temperament to to also be more calm when I trade. But no, that's just not for me. But it definitely got me, and I think you also and many others, it got us sort of interested into the power of analytics, right? So without further ado, let's talk about Footprint. What is Footprint doing, and why people need to pay attention here?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start off with the most basic explanation of footprint analytics and what we're doing. So footprint analytics combines Web 2 and Web 3 data via abstractions, right? So what does that mean? What is abstractions? So abstractions are when we take the data and we organize it via different kind of categories, right? So traditionally to get analytics off the blockchain, to get the data off the blockchain, you need to use SQL, right? If you ever used Doom before, very similar, right? You have to use SQL to get this data. It takes a long time. And it's just a huge barrier of entry, right? Not a lot of people that are trading or looking at analytics, right? Now are, always that tech savvy, right? So how can we remove this barrier of entry while still providing analytics for people that want to, you know, get the proper insights, right? So, we by removing this barrier of entry, we've made analytics more accessible to just the average person, the everyday guy, right? It's something that was a big goal for us when we first started, and we did quite well, So that's kind of where we started, and Footprint also has a couple different product suites right now, right? So we have uh, our zero coding analytics tool, which is sweet. So anybody here listening, if you want to go try out getting your own analytics, that's a great way to start, right? You don't have to do any SQL, saves you the time. But then we also have our APIs, right? So we have our REST APIs, which are free to use. And for there, you can get a bunch of different wallet addresses, wallet APIs, and stuff like that going on Ethereum. We just kind of started this now, so we're gonna get the rest of our chains here by probably mid-October. All 28 of our chains should be available with the REST API. And then actually yesterday, we got our SQL API. We made our SQL API free for users to have access to as well, right? So we have the zero coding analytics, which is drag and drop. We have our REST API, and then we have our SQL API for more complex calls and more complex charts. Something that's not so ready to use. If you got a really targeted metric you want to hit, SQL APIs for you. And then we also have a growth analytics tool. So a growth analytics tool is where we combine the Web 2 and the Web 3 data to get really targeted, say, marketing for is really great for games. So if you're a game studio out there and you're kind of looking about the best way to combine your on-chain data with your internal data, we have a great tool for that. It can provide you with stuff like different connectors from like Google Analytics to Twitter to Slack to Telegram. We have like 100 plus different connectors that you can upload to our host, and then we can stream that data real time, right? It also is really great for airdrops. So because you can segment your users, right? One of the things when it comes to Web3 is, even especially in gaming, is there's a ton of bots. So any way that we can, target our airdrops to get less bots and more genuine users, it's a great strategy, right? The last thing I want to do as a founder, as a bunch of my tokens I'm trying to give out to my users, is giving them a bunch of bots. So by us segmenting these users, creating wallet profiles, I really can give you a lot of great insights on, the correct wallets to target. So then not only do you get happier users, you also get better retention on your protocol as well. So those are kind of our product suites. So just to wrap it up, we got the geocoding analytics tool, the REST and SQL APIs, and we also have our growth analytics. And on the pipeline coming up here is something like our reference data. So reference data is pretty cool as well. I can go into that a little bit later.
Definitely, man. Before you do, you mentioned Dune Analytics, which perhaps many people know or use on a perhaps even daily basis. Uh, Very focused on SQL, at least in the beginning, where you could create all these different kind of queries and dashboards and all that kind of stuff. Another sort of analytics or this dashboard site that a lot of people use in crypto is DeFi Llama. So perhaps talk to us a bit about the space that you guys operate in and how you guys are different from, Dune, DeFi Llama, or any other that you compare yourself to.
Yeah, I think the most uh, they're the easiest differentiator, the most one where we have the most spread for difference is the amount of chains that we have. For example, we have 27 plus chains currently indexed at footprint, right? So chances are, if you want analytics and it's not on a chain like Ethereum, Avalanche, BNB, Polygon. Chances are we probably have it, which is great, right? So we have a very diverse amount of chains coming. We even have SWI, and we got working with some zero knowledge chains as well, like ZK Sync and Starknet. So really kind of paving the way when it comes to chain adoption. Not only that, we we got really competitively priced. Like, so you can look at our APIs, which are free for everybody to use right now. That's a huge benefit as well, right? You don't have to pay to play when it comes to footprint, which is really nice. We also have customized enterprise solutions too, and pretty much that zero coding platform as well is quite nice, right? With those abstraction layers, really will just save you a lot more time compared to some of the our other competitors out there as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Dune and DeFi Llama are great protocols, but we like to separate ourselves more from, like, say, an analytics indexer to more of and data infra solutions, right? We want to provide with way more solutions for B2B as well. So I think that's kind of some of the best ways that we can differentiate ourselves. So to recap, like saving time, zero coding analytics, a huge range of chains to choose from, and just overall, we're really trying to support data infra bit more than just being a standard data indexer.
Makes sense. And what chains are you compatible with right now? Because, I mean, crypto and blockchains are evolving so fast. New chains come up on a daily basis, I feel like. New L2s, new app chains, and Cosmos. Like, it's just a big mess, perhaps, for any new player coming in, because there's just so many chains, and it must be hard to keep up also for analytics firms like yourself. So yeah, what chains are you compatible with, and why did you choose those chains, perhaps?
Okay, yeah, for sure. Just give me a quick second here while I pull up the laptop because I got so many chains to start to keep track.
I can see
So
I can see on the website it says 20 plus. So I'm not expecting you to list all of them, but more perhaps the main ones that you guys are focused on. You see the most
yeah.
activity on, and why you chose those.
Yeah, so definitely we have B&B chain, which is a great chain to track, especially for games. There's a ton of games being released on B&B, lots of data. Ethereum, obviously, Avalanche, Polygon, Optimism, Phantom, Harmony, which is a cool chain. Really love the Harmony team. We have DFK, Ronin, Sui, which is coming. Sui, we got a grant from them, and we're really excited to kind of evolve our partnership and really grow with Sui as they continue evolving as well. We got Cello, Thundercore, Oasis Chain. Now that's really cool. L2. EVM L2 that's out of Japan. They have a ton of different games and chains that are building on top of Oasis for just specific gaming ecosystems. It's really easy to build on top. We really liked going with some of the ZK chains because there's a ton of activity going on with those. I don't know if you've been following StarkNet or ZK Sync era, but excuse me there.
Definitely,
It's like they've been having a ton of activity, right? And it makes sense, right? You get transactions done super quick. You got really great bridges, and it's cheap, right? So anything that's kind of new tech where it's actually really quite accessible, we get a lot of lots of, we know there'd be a lot of demand for it. I mean, I think our StarkNet dashboard that we just released not like a month ago. It's one of our most popular dashboards via viewers. So that's really exciting, and we're hoping to work with more chains as well via grants to really provide not just users of the chains, but also the apps developing on top of these chains. But just way more actionable insights that's easy to use, right? Devs aren't cheap. So anything that we can do to save some time when it just comes to getting some analytics, so the devs can focus on building their product as strong as possible. That's kind of where we're coming in here. So it's and I just named a couple of our chains. We have so many more. So I definitely recommend you go to our website and check it out. Really great variety.
definitely. And speaking of your website, one of the catchphrases that you guys have as the first thing you see is empower decisions with unified Web 2 and Web 3 data. I think that's interesting because obviously there's something called Web 2 beyond just Web 3. So a lot of activity happens off chain in siloed databases, as we like to say, and not on chain, on a blockchain. So talk to me about how you morph together Web 2 and Web 3 data. I think that's an interesting play there.
So how this works is we talk with protocols, right? And we kind of upload their data warehouse, right? We upload their connectors, like I say, the Google Analytics, Twitter, Slack, Telegram, right? And we combine all of this together so that we can stream it for super customized on with the metrics with the on-chain data, right? So we can get things like we can take wallets, right, for example, and then combine a user's socials with their wallet address to help provide even a better demographic, right? Pulling out wallet profiles, user journeys, which is super important if you have an app, right? I think that's also very great. Another one that's great for with these growth analytics is kind of your retention rate, especially, right? Especially when it comes to games. I don't know if you know this, but based on our data at Footprint, 90% of games that get released on chain go inactive within 30 days, right? So what can you guys do as a what data should we look at? What metrics should we look at to really try to increase this retention to at least the last 2 months, and then you'll be in the top 10%, right? So I think combining all of these internal silos. Now it's really different between different protocols about what data they want to use with on-chain metrics, just based on the nature of their protocol and what they're going for. But we see some really cool things like an example is with Planet Nine, their protocol, and they're a gaming protocol on Polygon, and they are tracking their users. They call them super users, right? Users that are holding more than 20 of the native tokens plus doing a certain amount of transactions a day, right? And then combining that with their socials so that they can really kind of separate and focus on these users to make sure that, they're as happy as possible. I think that's a really cool metric. Another one that we can do for some off-chain data would be like MCH first, where they take the win rates from battles, the off-chain win rates, and you can look at see the most powerful comps, right? The most powerful teams that you can build, so that you have the best chance of winning a battle. I think that's also kind of cool as well. We see a lot of really cool specific metrics that come out once we start combining both these sets of data. And I think it's just great for the whole kind of Web3 as a whole, right, to grow. But I don't think it's the best thing necessarily to have completely public either, right? I still think some Web2 data should definitely still be private, and some of the protocols that are working with us also tend to agree.
It's definitely a hot potato sometimes. I mean, just ask Cambridge Analytica and other incidents in the Web2 sphere where a lot of private data, privacy in general, is becoming an issue. But yeah, morphing those two together, because we cannot deny there's a lot of data happening in Web 2 that we would love to see somewhat reflected in a dashboard for Web3 analytics in something like Footprint. So I think it makes sense to morph these things together, which is also why I wanted to ask about it. So well done there. How do you see, actually, just out of curiosity, how do you see Web 2 and Web 3 morph together, not just from a data perspective, but in general? Because to the average normal user, a newbie perhaps in Web 3, this is just the internet, right? And whether I log in with Google or connect my wallet, they don't care, right? They don't care what happens behind the scene. So how do you see Web 2 and Web 3 sort of morph together more and more in the future to come?
As of right now, I really think we should just start off by just making everything as kind of Web 2 as possible, with everything Web 3 kind of going on behind the scenes, right? I think it should
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
be very, very quick for signing up for protocols. This is just my own personal opinions, but I'm a big believer of custodial wallets within protocols, so that I don't have to spend time on my MetaMask making a new wallet, or making sure that I have the correct chain on my MetaMask, for example, to go connect with this protocol. Right? I think with Web 2 and Web 3, everything should just right now should just be seamless. Right? We should be interacting with your DApp. At least if we're looking for a bit more adoption, I would say mass adoption, but I would go say for more adoption, things need to be more smooth, where you can just actually just focus on the app and what the protocol is doing itself, and not have to worry so much about the Web 3 aspects of it, right? We just should be able to trust the tech behind the scenes. I'm a big believer in the actual blockchain technology, but I also believe it doesn't need to be forefront for everything that is getting done. So, I think, a good blend maybe for Web 2 and Web 3, let's just meet in the middle at Web 2.5, and kind of start growing from there. And then once we get more and more interest, we can kind of start expanding, get the education out there once people start getting interested. I mean, the education is out there now, but no, people need to be interested in Web 3 first before they be interested in, the education. So I think that's a great way to start now. And then from there, I'm really excited about zero knowledge, ZK proofs, and optimistic rollups. I think this is just an even better privacy, or privacy, how to say, like, just even it provides even more privacy for users in general, which is just something that is great, right? If I don't need to put, everything in my name or my wallet address out there necessarily, or to do all these verifications, then it's great, eh? And it speeds it up. So I really think as we go forward, with as technologies it starts improving, starts getting faster, we're really going to see a lot more use cases as well. I mean, I also quite like the DPIN industry, if you know what that is. If you know what DPIN stands for, I think it's quite interesting.
I'm unfamiliar, but perhaps you can elaborate also for the
Yeah,
listener.
Yeah, so DPIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks, right? Essentially, what this is combining technology itself, like hardware, physical technology, with the benefits of the blockchain. For example, IoTeX released a security camera on chain, and the benefits of bringing your security camera on chain is that it's pretty much unhackable, right? One of the easiest things to currently hack right now are unregistered webcams, right? So being able to have pretty much an unhackable security camera or unhackable webcam, that is just a great use case for for blockchain in general. There's a couple other ones like Helium, for example. Helium, they will give you pretty much like a modem, and so you can provide hotspots for users around when they're walking around. They can connect to your hotspot when they don't have Wi-Fi, and then in turn you get rewarded in tokens. And I think that's kind of a cool use case as well. Having you don't even have to put your name on it, which is even better, right? I don't have to go and say this is Alex's Helium hotspot. I can just, here's a hotspot you can connect to, and I'm supporting the infrastructure. I get paid in tokens, I think. So DPIN is definitely a really cool use case. And I for sure there's going to be more devices connected with blockchain in the future than there are going to be people interacting with the blockchain, which is just, uh, you know, broader scope of things to look at, which I think is super interesting.
The barriers are definitely coming down. I mean, you mentioned optimistic rollups. You mentioned CK proofs. I mean, the cost of entry and the transaction cost just to do anything on chain is coming down, and that opens up a floodgate of new features, new potential dApps applications. We saw that also in Web 2 actually. Like in the beginning, it was very costly to run servers and to power a website or later an app. And then slowly but surely, the tools were getting built to deploy these things, to run these things. And now it takes almost no effort. It costs what, $1 a month to deploy a website on some website builder. It costs much less to deploy an app on App Store, Play Store than it cost 5, 10 years ago. And we will see the same thing with on-chain dApps applications running on blockchains. It's only a matter of time, and this is super exciting, right? It's super exciting for analytics tools and dashboard tools like Footprint. So talk to me about the future. Talk to me about the roadmap, about what's in store. What can people look forward to at Footprint?
Yeah, so I mean, let me talk about the our 2023 roadmap, and our big focus for 2023 was to provide enterprise GameFi Web 2 and Web 3 solutions. So we really succeeded with that with our growth analytics, right? We built out wallet profiles, and we're also coming out with the reference data, which again, I can really elaborate on all day. Reference data is super interesting. And then our goal was to get 30 plus chains, and we're well on our way by the end of 2023 to have 30 chains here at Footprint with the raw data that all of you guys can access, which is sweet. Looking at the beginning of or looking at the first half of 2024, right? We want to start providing enterprise financial solutions. So we've been developing our own AI in house, so we can get data to you a hell of a lot quicker. We also have Footprint bot that you can try out in our Discord. You can ask, for example, how do I query this? And it'll pop up with a SQL for you, which is awesome. We also got the AI prompt for investments. So, for example, you could ask, how is Ether doing? And it'll give you a blurb about, different trends and indicators, as well as it'll even provide you with a little miniature chart to look at as well, which is great for investments. If you can save some time on the research, I think that's really important as well. And while not just saving time, but getting powerful insights in a timely fashion is also very important, right? Another thing that we're going to be working on is more money flow trackers. We're going to have our latency for everything should be up to real time. which is great. And then we're going to start giving out event notifications. So that's like the first half of 2024. Going into the last half of 2024, we're gonna oh my, I'm dropping a little alpha, but we're planning on releasing a token here to help incentivize your community a little bit more, especially with their
Ooh, we love alpha
contributions
here.
of. Oh yeah, so we're doing a little contributions of data and analysis. So if you're using Footprint, you're active in our community, definitely kind of look forward to the last half of 2024. And then we're gonna work with proof of user contributions, right? So that's like kind of the 2024 goal in general. And then 2025 and later, it's gonna get quite interesting when we have a decentralized data exchange protocol. We want to evolve Footprint to be completely decentralized with data exchanging. And we're also going to have data privacy and analysis proof with zero knowledge. So that's kind of our 2025 and later roadmap. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll evolve, and we'll continue to update it for 2026, 2027, and beyond. Once we kind of finish 2024, I think after that you can really expect some really great innovations from Footprint, especially when it comes to accessing on-chain, not just on-chain data, but also that Web2 data as well, right? We really aim to be kind of your one-stop shop, as corny as it sounds, right? We want to be your one-stop shop for everything analytics, which is amazing. And maybe we could even aim to be like the Bloomberg of crypto. Like, little fun fact, actually, Bloomberg uses our API right now for their crypto research hub, which is just awesome. Little
Interesting.
quick flex there. But yeah, that's kind of our roadmap going forward. And yeah.
I think that's a great segue to one of the things that I wanted to ask you also when we talk about roadmap, and that is allowing ourselves a bit to dream, right? Sometimes in crypto, blockchain industry, we get caught up in very short term, like what are we going to deliver next month or next quarter or next half a year or whatever. But have these spaces sometimes also to allow ourselves to dream a little bit, like what are we working towards? What's the end game here? There's never an end game, but what do we aspire to become? And I think you might have said it already, which is the Bloomberg of the blockchain industry or analytics in Web3. Is that the end goal here, or is it something else?
Yeah, and maybe I can even add on a little bit more. Like, we want to be the go-to data infra, right? We want everybody to grow with Footprint. My favorite saying, you hear me say it in all of our grant meetings too, is that we want to make sure that everybody eats, right? So no, we don't want just Footprint to grow. We want our community to grow. We want the dApps that are using Footprint to grow. We want the chains that are using Footprint as an official data provider to grow, and the dApps that are on top of those chains to grow, right? We want to make sure that we help, really pioneer growth when it comes to data in the Web3 scene. So I think that's kind of our dream. And then from there, obviously, who knows, kind of as innovations get better. I mean, just in the 2 years that I've really been involved in Web3, it's just the amount of innovation and technology has come out. It's just been crazy. So it's hard to say, what kind of directions we'll go once we reach this goal, because you know it, I have no idea what to expect in the next 5 to 10 years, right? I at least in the gaming side, I can expect some really good games because that's how long it should take to build a good game. But technology and innovation wise, it's just so hard to speculate on, because maybe what I believe will be or happen in the future, maybe 5 years, could happen in 3 years. So I'm really just kind of looking forward to the evolution of the space as a whole.
And speaking of the evolution of the space, something that I always like to ask from experts like yourself is, what excites you about crypto and Web3 these days? There's a lot of things going on. You guys arguably know more about what's happening from the dashboards and the analytics platform that you create. So what excites you about crypto, blockchain, Web3 these days?
You know, for me personally, I gotta say what excites me the most is the evolution of gaming on chain, right? I love the fact of owning my assets, right? If you look at how much money I spent on League of Legends skins that I'll never get back, um, I think I think that's a great concept, and I can't wait to see kind of how we can do even more. With the Web3. I also think something that's interesting as well is I'd love to see how blockchain can help help the music industry and help give power back to the artists. When it comes to record labels, I also believe on-chain ticketing systems and loyalty programs from artists is something that would be really exciting to see in the future. Kind of, you feel way more. Not only do you feel way more connected with the artist on like a bit more of a personal level, right? By getting these loyalty rewards and special drops from the artist. I think it just gives the artist a lot more of their share of the pie. So I think that's kind of what I'm really most excited about in the evolution. And then I can't really speculate with the evolution of the technology, but with AI and blockchain, it's going to be really crazy to see how those two will go together and really, you know, bring a lot of great things towards the space. So those are kind of what I'm really looking forward to kind of recap here is, how music and artists can evolve by putting their songs or albums or works of art all on chain with also like loyalty programs with businesses. I think that's going to be super cool. On chain coupons and then of course the gaming side of things. I think the gaming is going to be the most interesting, at least to me, because I'm just a big gamer. uh, I played way more video games than I'd like to admit.
Do you think it could be the next catalyst? I know GameFi has obviously had its shine in the last cycle with, you mentioned also Ronin, you're compatible with Ronin chain that deployed Axie Infinity that most people at least have heard about, maybe even tried to play. Um, I mean, GameFi has been sort of up and coming for some time. It got maybe its shine towards the end of the last cycle, so it was hurt the most from when the Terra Luna crashed and we went into a bear market. But do you think it could be the next catalyst? Obviously, we all know that the Bitcoin halving is imminent. It's coming. It's coming soon, actually. But typically, you need to combine a Bitcoin halving with some kind of catalyst. So, do you think gaming, for example, could be that catalyst, or NFTs with music, or tickets, as you mentioned? Is that the next? Is that the next thing that's gonna trigger the next cycle?
I think really the thing that's going to trigger the next cycle personally is more institutional adoption. Truthfully, like more big businesses getting into crypto and kind of seeing the benefits of not just the speculation side of things, but the technology side of things. I think that is going to be the biggest catalyst for me. But in Asia, we're probably going to see the most adoption through games, especially mobile games on chain. I wouldn't say like mass adoption necessarily, but I keep saying more adoption. I think that more adoption is going to be coming uh, from these mobile games that are getting released, and people are not even going to be realizing that they have that they're actually doing anything on the blockchain. They're just going to be having fun playing a good game, right? And we're just not at that point where the games are really good enough yet for this to happen. I'm sure if anybody here is listening played a Web3 game, you know that they're just not up to snuff compared to the traditional Web2 games that we play, right? But I think that really once we start getting these fun games and people realize that maybe I can sell these assets after, and we see all different types of genres adopting blockchain, and you know what, and also not even realizing that we're playing or doing anything on the Web3 side, I think is great, right? I think Web 2.5 for games is going to be a great stepping stone into a complete Web3 catalyst, and we're going to see it more and more with zero knowledge coming in, right? With these ZK proofs, getting working with these games, because I don't. Last thing I want to do too when I'm playing a game is to start getting bogged down by transaction speeds and gas fees and all this sort of stuff. So the faster we can do these on-chain transactions, and the less people know we're doing about Web3, I think is a great catalyst. And then from there, once the rewards kind of get stacked up, and they have the option to take these rewards out of the game and actually exchange it for some tokens or anything like that, I think is going to be a great catalyst for adoption, right? Especially, I think looking at the stats right now, Asia is kind of the best, hottest spot for Web3 adoption currently. So as long as we're hitting the right market with the right products, I think that'll be or the right games as well. I think that'll be a great catalyst into the next bull run. And we're still like when it's not all bit boy on the Twitter feeds. I still am seeing a ton of hype around these games that are coming out, right? Even some of the games that are supposed to be changing everything and supposed to be really fun, they're still in beta or they're still in alpha, right? So there's still a lot of development to be done. And then once they are done, it's going to be really exciting. Even as a judge of the Clayton Hackathon with ABGA, I saw some really great games that are on their way to be coming out to users, and we're gonna start seeing more and more active users in the gaming scene, and we're gonna have a lot of great technology to back that up. So I think that paired with the halving could be a really great catalyst.
Amen, brother. It's going to be super exciting to see how this all plays out, to be honest. It's you never know what happens in crypto, right? Everything is always becoming, a bit like we hope, a bit like we think, but there's always an element of surprise when it comes to crypto and Web3. But let me ask you this, just like I ask what people can look forward to, not just in the short term, but also down the line, 5, 10 years from now. What do you think crypto and Web3 is going to look like long term, 5, 10 years from now, beyond basically the next cycle?
God, for me, I think this is just so hard to predict. I mean, I think in the 10 to 15 years, I think we're going to be actually interacting more and more with the blockchain in everyday life. I think, when it comes to, especially, once I think institutions really realize the benefit and how much easier it is to adopt loyalty programs on chain and to do all of these transactions that are probably going to cost what a 10,000th, maybe 100,000th of a penny. There's something so negligible that you know it's not even gas fees are not even going to be a worry anymore or even a thought. I think we're going to start interacting with the blockchain more and more, and just seeing how blockchain can be the use cases of blockchain for just everyday life as well will be very, very interesting, right? The more I really do like the transparency, but also the privacy of the chains as well. Maybe, we're going to see a lot more housing or houses being built on top of the blockchain. Like we're going to see renovations going as part of the house. I think fractionalized real world assets are going to be a lot more, fractionalization and real world assets are going to be a lot more prevalent on chain. And, just proof of ownership for things we wouldn't even think of, I think is just something we're probably going to see a ton more of. But it's hard to say, right? Who could have thought the internet would be where it is now, back when it was first released, right? That dot-com bubble. But who would have thought it would have evolved to what it is today, right? It's so hard to predict something that is evolving so rapidly. So I guess that's kind of where I think, but take what I said with a grain of salt because um, who knows?
It's impossible to predict, and that's also why I say there's always an element of surprise. So it's a bit of an unfair question to you, but I just had to ask experts like yourself. It's always good to hear how you're thinking about that question, right? Because of course nobody knows for sure. Alex, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on to the club today. Is there anything that we left out? Anything that you want to leave the community with today about what you guys are building? Or you already spilled some alpha, of course, so I'm not going to ask you for any more. But yeah, anything we left out before we close this thing off?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to check out Footprint, go to our website, footprint.network. We'd love to, see you guys creating charts, creating dashboards. Even if you need those enterprise solutions, we'd love to help you out. And one thing that we do love here at Footprint, and I cannot get enough of at Footprint, is your feedback, right? I want to really know what you like about Footprint, and I want to know even more what you don't like about Footprint, so then I can make a better product for not just you, but for everyone else using Footprint as well. So I guess, with that kind of being said, something that you guys should really be looking forward to with Footprint is our evolution of and introductions of reference data, especially if you're an analyst or if you're building. This is something that's going to be a game changer for you guys when it comes to hitting the right data at the right time and really understanding the holistic view of money flow, of smart contract mapping, all this sort of fun stuff. Really, I highly recommend you guys stay tuned for the reference data releases because it's going to be cool. It's going to be sick. Get fired up for it like I'm getting fired up right now. Um, so I guess with that being said, I guess my final thoughts, go check us out, footprint.network. Give us a follow on Twitter at footprint_data. And, join the Discord. Try out our AI bot for making your own SQL queries. I think that's something else that is kind of exciting and I really wish a lot more people would utilize as well.
Beautiful, Alex. Thank you so much again for coming on today. We will make sure to tweet out any updates, any alpha that you guys spill on Twitter to make sure the community stays informed. I'm sure this is not the last time that we speak, Alex, so looking forward to see you back at the club.
Great.
Take care, man.
Yeah, you
Ciao.
too, buddy. Thanks for having me. Bye now.
Ciao.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.